Do you wish your blog or website was getting just a little bit more traffic, or maybe you wish it was getting a lot more traffic? Well, this week on Hard Facts, we're going to talk about top SEO tips to make sure your website is ranking organically. Hi, I'm Samantha Cunningham Zawilinski, and this week on Hard Facts, we're going to talk about some top SEO tricks referred to as search engine optimization. Now, search engine optimization is how your content is ranked to show you up in organic search results. And so we want to make sure we're approaching information that's going to help you optimize your website to rank on the first page of Google, because 75% of individuals click on only the first page content. So it's incredibly important to optimize your content, your website, and ensure you're following all best practices to be in that first spot and get positive SEO. So while you're thinking about how you can get SEO to work for you, there's a couple of things we want to think about. And the first one is going to think about how you're writing and communicating your content on your blog or your website. And I would really encourage you to read through it and say, hey, is this conversational? Is this how a human would speak to another human? Because we want to make sure that we're writing for individuals first and not for search engines. So many times people try and write content for search engines that it really diminishes the user experience, as well as things like Google Home and Alexa become more and more important and prevalent in our experiences as consumers. Writing for a human first is going to help you optimize your content for voice searches, which is an incredibly important element to start preparing for today. And the other thing here is you're going to want to make sure you're including relevant keywords in your copy. So for example, make sure your headline and your text repeat the theme of your blog or your website content over through the course of that article or that case study, for example. But what's important here is you do not keyword stuff, because that is black hat SEO and will negatively impact you in the eyes of a search engine. So if you're wondering how you sprinkle keywords throughout your content while being relevant to possible search queries, well, there's two great tools that I'd like you to think about using. The first is the Google Keyword Planner or Keyword Tool that's within your Google AdWords account. And the second is going to be utilizing a tool like Moz, who will help you find keywords there. And you can even take it a step further, and if you're thinking about having a video or titling content that will also be on YouTube, you can use a plugin like TubeBuddy to help you figure out what keywords are ranking well for other content similar to yours. The other thing here I'm going to recommend, if you're thinking about covering a plethora of topics, and you're going to do 2 blog posts on one and 4 blog posts on another, and then a bunch of them are just going to be one piece here and there, maybe think about niching down. So kind of find out what your niche is going to be and really focus on content in that area. And that's going to help you because you're really going to be telling the search engines what your website, what your content is about, what audience you're serving. And it's also going to help you rank better and better, because that content is going to duplicate itself throughout your website in different types and different ways by utilizing similar keywords based on the audience and content you're putting out there. So let's talk about, if we're going to drive some links to your website, what some best practices are next. According to Google, backlinks are one of the top 3 signals they utilize for ranking your website and making it a trusted authority for the type of content and audience you're trying to reach. So how do we create backlinks without creating negative SEO for your website? Well, the thing is you need to make sure you're partnering with trusted and authoritative websites in your industry or your segment. And so what I mean here is you want to make sure you're not paying a directory to link back to your website, paying for backlinks through third-party websites. Those are all garbage, to be completely honest. So what you want to do here is find other individuals. So like, for example, influencers are a great way to do this within a circle. If you have a blog, find other individuals that share that same niche that you have and find out how you can partner with one another to share content and link back and forth to each other's sites. They're going to have trusted sites as well. You want to make sure you vet your partner here, but it's also going to help because your niche is going to be the same, so your audience is going to be the same. So it's going to be a great user experience, which should make positive analytics for your website, as well as create those backlinks that Google's looking for. Another thing we want to keep in mind here is 53% of people will abandon a website if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. And I can promise you that that statistic is only going to get larger, and the time of impatience of people is only going to get smaller. So keeping that in mind, we need to make sure that we're optimizing for our site speed, and there's a couple tips you can use here to make sure your website loads quickly and provides a great user experience. So the first thing seems really simple, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't check it as often as they should. And what I'm talking about here is the links on your website, so the URLs you're using and the content within the website. So for example, are you going through your website and making sure that all of your URLs actually go to live content? Are you making sure that all of the videos you have on your website are still active videos and not showing that they're no longer published? Are you making sure that there are no broken links? That's number one. So number two is making sure that you are using a responsive and mobile optimized website. So before you think about upgrading your website, changing your template, using a landing page, or even hiring somebody to help you create content, pop it on your mobile phone and see how it looks. Is the user experience very friendly, easy? Do you know what you're supposed to do to be able to get to the next step or digest your content? Unfortunately, sometimes the answer to that is no, and it hurts your site speed and your SEO. The second part here, as well as when you're looking at your website, make sure you have a sitemap. This is going to help Google crawl the content on your website and help it rank even better organically. The next two tips are going to help you stand out against the competition, because with 2 million blogs posted a day, we've got to find a way to make sure our content is even better than our competitors. And so the first one here is going to be make sure that you include actual alt tags for your images. So for example, when you upload an image to your blog, don't just have it be sweater 1234 JK PNG. Wrong answer. Make sure you title it with additional details that would help you organically. So actually label it if it's a brand you're partnering with, their sweater, the name, the style, your information, whatever's most relevant to you, but make sure you change the text. And when you're creating your content, you want to make sure that your page has a page title. And you want to make sure that you differentiate these for each page on your website. It's going to help each piece of content rank even better. And when you're writing your content, you want to make sure as you're creating your blog post or your website landing page, you have a headline for your page. Here's an example, and I'm going to tell you why. It's important to have a headline because it's going to come up as your title tag on your search engine's results page, which means it's going to be the clickable link that somebody sees in a search engine result page that gets them over to your website. So if you don't have that, it may plug in the first sentence of your paragraph, which would be completely irrelevant because you're starting to talk to somebody about your blog post, your content, or your product. Those are just a few of the tips that you can use to make sure that you're increasing your SEO, organic traffic, ranking over to your website, and optimizing all of your content. So if you're thinking, how can I make sure I'm monitoring this information and seeing what kind of momentum I'm building? Well, you can look in Google Analytics. There's some great tools there. And a good measurement would be once you start doing some of this optimization to try and grow your traffic by 3% every month. But if you want to know how you're ranking in terms of positioning, SEMrush has a great tool that is a position ranking tool and can show you those parameters. And that's it for this week's episode of Hard Facts. I hope you found our optimization tools helpful and will institute them in your blog or website. If you've got a tip or a best practice, comment below, as I'd love to hear how we can share as an audience. I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to our page so you stay up to date on all future episodes of Hard Facts.